Make this a community club. Such is the case tonight. Opening whistle from Sergei Demyanchuk, and we're underway in Hartford, Connecticut. Hartford Athletic taking on Louisville City. Cleared out by Preston Tabor-Itaka. And a throw for Akil Watts. Louisville, third most goals in the USL Championship, most in the Eastern Conference. Bouncing ball up toward Ownby. Lancaster trying to hold it up. Lancaster. Louisville was quite clear with us in the lead up to this game, Devin. They're not going to be afraid to press on the road, especially given their recent run of form. They don't feel like they've played all that poorly in any of the three games they've failed to take a win from the past couple of weeks. Ownby serving. That's away. Gonzalez will chase it down.
The conversation between you and I about that has been more so the mistakes that they've made against themselves, right? As opposed to being played off the park. And the Louisville City squad that, to be fair, Mike, is really in uncharted territory. You know, the back-to-back losses we mentioned coming in, they've only lost 3 in a row once in franchise history. That was in 2015 for the organization. A team that, since 2015, has had double-digit unbeaten streaks 4 times. In order for them to do that this year, it's going to have to start winning now. 11 games to go in the season, still an opportunity. So usually we see this team at the tail end of a season, or at least turning that midway point, playing very well, starting to knock teams off left and right. And LouCity starting to trend a different direction. But if you're going to put money on anyone to pull themselves out of it, you'd have to think that the 2-time champion LouCity would definitely have their own number pulled on that one.
Tabor-Itaka went down harshly on the surface, and he is yet to get back to his feet. '19 impressed under Eric Winalda at Las Vegas Lights, and spent last year in San Antonio.
Oh, check the landing on the left foot. Right there, a little awkward, and then flat on the backside. That's a stinger coming right up the back. Good to see him up and moving again. Traditionally, that's kind of the way of the world, if you will, Mike. Tiny little undercut, your body starts to adjust. And grab your footing.
Wonderful ball control, and here's Tabor-Itaka among those giving chase. Obregon lashing. Good opening salvo for Juan Carlos Obregon Jr., who's probably best known in the U.S. for breaking the hearts of the U.S. Olympic squad.
If not for him, it's not Honduras moving on, right? It's definitely a different tale, but his speed, always on full exhibition. Good little cut back through, and got to watch that. Lexi Suahi, Sean Tosh. Tosh, not an issue chasing people down, but Lexi Suahi's been a little bit off this season. Different than what we've seen in previous years. He comes into the lineup. Again, you know, the combination between the two center backs. Wes Sharpie had become the #1 running mate for Sean Tosh. No longer the case. Can you get acclimated to this environment very quick?
Hopino did manage to roll that up to Caldwell. Good coverage by Budati, who returns from a groin injury tonight. And if Suahi maybe isn't playing all that well on a given day, you can always look at Wes Sharpie, but he's injured. Pat McMahon is injured at right back. No Oscar Jimenez tonight either. So this is a big moment because Sean Tosh's job clearly solidified at center back.
With an understanding that Jonathan Gómez himself is coming back from a tiny little injury too. So the outside back spot a little bit unsure, as is the center back situation next to Sean Tosh.
Ownby striking this through the penalty area and out the other side. And we're starting to get to that point, Dev, where you're 10, 12 games left for most teams in the league. So you're trying to figure out what's the best attacking combination, what's the best defensive combination. See Brian Ownby there. This is as many assists as he's ever tallied. Danny Cruz is trying to figure this all out, the interim head coach who took over after just one game this season. John Hackworth leaving the club. Danny Cruz, his lead assistant and the technical director, stepping into the head job. And so far, you'd argue he's done very well, but this is probably the biggest test he's faced yet while he tries to get this team to their ideal 11. Del Piccolo, who captains the side. Sawahi. Here's Gómez. Hack finds Gómez.
That combination right there between Justin Hack and Christian Gómez. The way that LouCity like to rotate off the ball, so many different patterns. You see them moving into the inside, guys stretching out. Brian Ownby has even made himself a little home on the inside, more than we've seen in previous seasons. The way that they sit defensively, because of Danny Barrera and being allowed for him to rotate so much, which is a good thing. But as he covers so much ground and tries to get involved in the attack, make that last vital pass, that leaves a lot of open space just in behind him. And that comes down to the responsibility of Christian Gómez and Justin Hack. You'll see them side by side a lot, but as Barrera goes, one of them is going to have to step into that space. Would imagine it's going to be Christian Gómez more often than not, like you're seeing right now. But at the same point in time, the balance has to be absolutely perfect tonight in the midfield for Hartford Athletic.
Janjigian. Turn that over. Watts stepped in ably. Ownby. Gibson. Swarmed by Tabor Itaka and Barrera. Ownby. Able to find Lancaster! Through the legs of Caldwell and in. His 63rd regular season goal in the championship, his 12th of the year.
Again! Go again! Come on!
The manager, Danny Cruz, imploring his troops to continue to push, because for Cameron Lancaster, it is a three-pronged attack. He's a sharpshooter from distance. He's a sniper inside the box, but he's also a bit of a poacher. And this little touch on the inside, coming off his left foot, has to be perfect. It is. Brings it across his body. And how about the cheeky little meg to the goalkeeper on the near post? There's the movement and lack thereof defensively for Hartford. Great little spin off by Lancaster. It's about speed and precision. That's why he is now number 4 all-time most goals USL championship.
He breaks a tie with, well,
Kyle Gregg,
who
go figure.
is on the roster, also has 62. Meanwhile, at Diorio's in Louisville, you'd think the party is just beginning. A ruckus watch party continues. There's Hack, the NYCFC homegrown, on loan to Hartford. Well, mentioned pregame how important the first goal was. Louisville has only lost once when they've scored first this season. Hartford have picked up only 2 points in the 9 games in which they conceded first.
Quite convenient how those numbers work themselves out. Louisville City's the same thing. Dropped 5 games, fell behind 5 times. Neither one of these squads like to be on the back foot. They want to be applying pressure, running teams into submission. What was it, 15 seconds after the ball hits the back of the net, Danny Cruz on the sideline already asking for another one? Keep going. Inside 10 minutes, a quality start, and you're asking for more.
Slipping down was Gómez. That leaves a bit of a hole on the left-hand side. Sawahi's trying to cover that. Tabor Itaka attempts to serve. Instead, Sawahi. Corner Hartford.
Response now immediately, because as loud as Danny Cruz has been, it's time for Watling to get his team going. This team is so good with room to run into. The speed of the front line. Guys like Obregon, who we've already seen, Tabor Itaka for sure. We already talked about Danny Barrera playing that final pass in, but when that field becomes a bit more constricted, where's the response going to come from?
Well, this is clever off the training ground, but Ownby hoovers it up and carries with speed. Finally, Torres does well to close the door. Barrera. Gómez. Tagged a bit there from behind. This is Gabby Torres. Tulu, who returns from a one-game suspension served in the 2-0 loss to New York Red Bulls 2 last time out for Hartford. Obregon knocked down by Tosh. Immediately appeals for dive.
Whether you agree or not, still don't get yourself into that situation. Forward's got the ball at his feet. Already leaning forward a little bit. It's a good little run coming out of the inside for Obregon. We'll say from set pieces, Hartford Athletic have been pretty impressive. Always some trickery up their sleeve. Saw one moments prior. This angle, got to take something special on the makeshift corner.
Parker Siegfried wants to get the Louisville troops in order. Away by Tosh. Sean Tosh, all-league a year ago. Throw for Budati. We could call him Mr. Irrelevant, I suppose, the last pick of the MLS Super Draft in 2020 by LAFC.
I'd take him on my team. I like him. Good speed. He's excellent vision. He's got real good coverage on the defensive front, tracking back. That's exactly what Harry Watling sees out of him.
Who has played in the Youth World Cup. Harry Watling, 31 years old. Got his UEFA B license at 18, his A license at 26. He spent 12 years in English academy ball between Chelsea, Millwall, and West Ham. Now leaps to the front of the line, one of the youngest professional coaches in the U.S. Collision, but it's Hack taking over. Torres. This is Gómez, called to train with the Mexican national team ahead of Nations League on the preliminary roster for the U.S. for the Gold Cup, just 18 years old. Gómez will throw here. Jonathan Gómez linked to Real Sociedad by report from The Athletic earlier this year.
Those games for Jonathan Gómez, Mike, that you don't necessarily circle in terms of who you're playing against, specifically those individuals, a Derek Dotson, a Younes Budati. There have been some other massive names that they've had to match up against. But you have to be careful in that too, that two-pronged right-sided attack for Hartford Athletic and the balance that I mentioned to you for both outside backs for Louisville. How much are they going to send Jonathan Gómez? Because it has been their bread and butter at certain points of the season, but when you go up 1-0, you're on the road, you want to maintain your structure. What's that look like? How often do you let him progress forward? How much is he involved into the attack? Because it's just as easily maintainable for Hartford to step in behind just as you're seeing and go in transition.
Tabor Itaka leaving off for Barrera. Circulates for Dodson. Derek Dodson lines this off the calf of Ownby. A push from Watts. What a battle in a corner won by Hartford's Gabby Torres. Quarter hour in, Louisville took the early advantage, but these sides have shown a little bit of fight so far.
One of the issues you run into if you're Danny Cruz in terms of team selection was the outside back spot, not just because of injury, Mike, but tactically, what did you want to do? He goes with a player in Akil Watts that can play the 6, can play the 8, outside back. More importantly, he's got speed. You need that in the matchup here, and especially in one-on-ones against someone like Gabby Torres flying up and down this left flank. Watch this front line, by the way, already for Hartford Athletic. Nice little pinches in by Derek Dotson and Tabor Detaka. A little bit more to try and clog the middle. We'll say that when the ball has come into their striker, Obregon, a little bit of lack of options when they've moved into the final third.
Watts. Hack denied by Ownby. 3 white and purple shirts approach. Lancaster. Lancaster goes down. Karam's out to Ownby. And it's Caldwell coming out to claim. Could this slice through the center backs? Siegfried did well. Watts. There's just not that many professional athletes named Watts. I have to enjoy these moments when they come.
You're not related.
No.
I checked.
Yeah, I know.
Your claim to fame, it's gone.
That's it.
Great DJ.
That is true.
Houston, right? H-Town, Michael Watts. So they tell me.
Hack hampered with by Ownby. And a brief conversation between the referee Demianchuk and Paolo Del Piccolo. Del Piccolo was, well, fiery to say the least in the loss to FC Tulsa. The second half, he was flying around. And he's hit a smart diagonal ball over the top. Holpino. Saw Gonzalez, Tulu. Tabor Detaka spun around and fouled. And a yellow card to boot.
It's definitely a foul. A little bit interesting that approaching the 20-minute mark, we're going to pull a card for this one. I guess you're not allowed to create contact and pull the shirt at the same point in time. Didn't realize that was taken out of the rule book.
And Sawahi picking up the yellow in the 19th minute.
His back-to-back possession spells for Louisville City, where they're pretty good numbers moving forward. Both Cameron Lancaster and Openo making poor decisions, though. Both times had the left flank wide open to just drop it over the shoulder. Instead, cut back inside, close the option down.
Gómez. Budati. There's Gómez. Jonathan Gómez stepping in. Budati caught him from behind. Since 1947, Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the elite leagues throughout Europe. For the latest Select products and special offers, visit selectsportamerica.com. Playing under the lights on this Tuesday evening in Hartford, Connecticut. Hartford Athletic in 6th place, but a win moves them into 4th. Top 4 teams will make the postseason in each division. The Atlantic Division has a three-way traffic jam between 4 and 6, 1 point apart. Charleston and Charlotte in that mix as well. Louisville atop the Central Division. Birmingham just 1 point off the pace now. Threaded through nicely. Holpino lost his footing with Budati. Gómez. Altercation between Tosh and Obregon goes without a whistle. Devin, at this point, what do you like from Hartford? Where do you think they can improve as they move further into the match here as we close in on the midway point of the first half?
I would say that the midfield has done much better over the past 5-6 minutes in this spell defensively to really push off any quality series of passes for Louisville coming right through the middle. So, you know, when you play from your 6 and Tyler Gibson trying to find Gonzalez at El Piccolo, instead they've gone much more direct over the top. The problem is Hartford haven't responded to that. So it's been better from Barrera, Gómez, Hack, even Dotson dropping down and basically creating this nice little 4-1-4-1. You've got nice spacing where Hack's sitting underneath, a flat line of 4, and then you still got Obregon up top to spring him loose. But the problem is when it goes that quick up over the top, the back line, their ability at the outside back spot and the coverage from the 2 center backs to chase those long balls in. LouCity could have a second or even a third. Their decision making has been poor though. So then where does the response come offensively when you go the other way as well?
Ball lined across here for Dodson. He hit the post. Derek Dodson tries again this time, and this service to the grateful hands of Siegfried. A premier goal scorer at Georgetown trying to get Hartford level.
This has to be the response though, because as good as you can be in one area, you then have to supplement it and provide a pressure relief on the other. When the ball goes forward, where does the support come from? It can't be a one-off in general, yet alone against a talented back line like Louisville. They create options, they create support, and get a great effort off on Parker Siegfried.
Flicked through by Barrera. Most offensively enlightening moment from Hartford a moment ago, and they're after it again. Tabor Itaka. It's a strong poke from Jonathan Gómez.
A quick little chat, though, between Danny Barrera and Obregon just now as they come forward on that right side. You had one option deep in Danny Barrera, and you had 3 sitting at the top of the 18. Danny Barrera is just asking his striker to come back in a little bit. As he steps up, he's going to pull space off the back line, pull a defender out. That creates more options for them going forward, Mike. That's what this is about. Giving yourself the best opportunity to succeed. 15 minutes in, not that great. Past couple of minutes, as mentioned defensively, but now the response on the front end.
Gómez remains down here, Devin. What should, honestly, Mexico and U.S. fans, he hasn't committed one way or the other yet, look for in Jonathan Gómez tonight moving forward, a guy who's already being targeted by a pretty significant La Liga side?
Figure out where his family's purchasing real estate. Hey, listen, you ask an honest question. I'm giving you an honest answer.
Well, his brother plays for Porto, his older brother, Johan, in Portugal. Came through the FC Dallas Academy at the beginning of the pandemic, made the move over to Louisville. Chance here for Louisville. That's Caldwell making a major stop on Lancaster. Out to Watts. Gibson. Watts leading Ownby. slices this back again. Flick forward, finds Gonzalez, back heel, set up here for Del Piccolo. And again, Caldwell up to the task.
And you wonder why he's leading the league in saves. This is why. Cameron Lancaster on the doorstep from point-blank range, denied by the goalkeeper. Perfect technique, and still 18 yards out, teed up, headed for glory in the upper corner. Just a walk in the park for Jeff Caldwell.
Last game was a planned rest. He had to come in with 20 minutes to go due to an injury. Caldwell now 82 saves on the year. Ball driven across. This is a simpler proposition for Caldwell. Caldwell lost the ball. This is Ownby, who's surely going to go in the book if the referee's going to blow his whistle.
He tries to get away with one here. He's very close to pulling it off. Brian Ownby, this is right at the top of the 18. Jeff Caldwell trying to play quick in transition. To be fair, the strike is going to come outside the box. The problem is no matter where you are, you still can't do that. Can't come from behind another player and get stuck in that fashion.
The yellow card is quite literally insult to injury, as he also took a pretty significant kick the back of his leg as well.
Go back to your question a second ago with Jonathan Gómez between the United States and Mexico. They're both looking at a left-footed player. Remember that. That's the most important thing here. If the United States, you're looking at out and out solving your problems right there at left back. You're probably looking a couple of years down the line, but you have to, especially with a quality talent in Serginho Dest at right back. And you know, who's going to play on the left? Where do we rotate Reggie Cannon? There's a million different names you can throw in. Anthony Robinson, right?
Siegfried comes out and punches this away strongly. That was a significant collision with Obregon, who's back to his feet.
Your biggest concern if you're Mexico is where does he fit in? How long does it take him to get in there? Does he get lost in the mix? And how does that play out for a team that's already super deep themselves? And Gabby Torres can knock a ball in with the best of them from deep areas. The height, a little bit of an issue here for Obregon, but good on him to put his body in harm's way because Parker Siegfried has a lot of work to do in this situation.
And Siegfried has come up a bit lame here. Louisville just sent Simon Lefebvre on loan to Colorado Springs. He's their third choice goalkeeper. Their backup is Chris Hubbard. He started the year as the #1.
It's a beautiful ball by Gabby Torres as well, Mike, because he's about 22, 24 yards out. When he hits this, Siegfried's got to be careful. If it's real close to the 6, he's got to hold that line on the near post. If a player's too close and he can't get to it. But then it hits that gray area, that 6 to 8 yard mark, where the goalkeeper comes off his line. Who's he going to challenge with? Because it's not just the attacking option in Obregon. He's got his own player in front of him too. Judges it well. That's going to leave a mark.
Siegfried will continue for the time being. This is launched along Lancaster. Lancaster breaks away. Lancaster again, and it's smashed home by Gonzalez. Jorge Gonzalez bags his third in a LouCity uniform. 2-0 Louisville on the road.
One thing you miss with Cameron Lancaster in your lineup is the utter desire and, more importantly, the desperation that he will do whatever it takes to stick one into the back of the net, even if it doesn't mean his own name goes in the lights. Gets away with one there. Friendly fire on the back shoulder of Jigian, and as this ball comes back across, probably should have laid it off, to be fair. It's on the left foot, gets a bit lucky on this little bounce coming off. Caldwell should have picked it up, deflects it right in the firing path of Gonzalez, who makes it so simple of an effort to touch this home for 2 in the night for LouCity.
Gonzalez, who spent most of this year dealing with injury, a regen warm-up in preseason, a freak injury according to Danny Cruz and John Hackworth. a setback later in the year in his return against FC Tulsa. Just his 11th appearance, his third goal after a tremendous 2020 in Portland. Their USL Championship side got 8 goals out of 10 games from Gonzalez. Tabor Itaka trying to provide a little jolt here for Hartford. Running out of real estate, crossing Obregon. Hartford responds. We were guaranteed this wouldn't be a 0-0 match. Certainly not. 2-1 just past half an hour.
It has been building offensively for Hartford Athletic. The frustrations on the defensive side were just begging for one player to step up, throw this team on its back, and get them going in the right direction. That comes from your outside striker, Tabor Itaka. Great little spin move, gets around Jonathan Gómez, and then unselfish. He almost got to the point of no return, Mike, where he had closed down all of his options, and yet still able to put enough pace on this ball, cut it back across, and pick out the streaking run of Obregon.
Akil Watts headers away. Gómez, trouble perhaps brewing, slid away from Del Piccolo. A foul as well. Juan Carlos Obregon, hardworking, creative. They feel like he can play any number of ways. Born in Brooklyn, played for Christ the King High School, went upstate to Siena, and now in Hartford, as well as for the Honduran youth national team. Continues to make a name for himself. That's his 6th of the season. Del Piccolo. That's Sawahi elevating toward midfield. Gómez, Gonzalez racing through. Caldwell steers this away once more from Holpino's service. Nodded down to Gibson. This game is not lacked for fireworks. Lancaster and Gonzalez on the board for Louisville. Obregon for Hartford. That's Gibson weaving his way in and out of pressure. The rotation right now from Louisville is pretty wild in possession. We've seen Sawahi get up the left-hand side. That was Gibson, the holding midfielder, 5 yards from the end line.
The sequence prior is sitting on the back line next to Sean Tosh. It's the brilliance that is Louisville City and how comfortable they are on the ball, Mike. There is a real temperament to this team because of the fact they all feel like they can play everybody else's position. Regularly they do.
Ownby snagged by Caldwell.
In that rotation, though, also comes an expectation of not next man up of who's going to step into the lineup, but literally step up into that space next man up. You know, get on your horse, come help out. You can chase defensively. You can work yourself moving back to front. Even the way that they've employed some of their pressure, bringing Gonzalez out of the midfield, out of the pocket to the side. They've rotated him into an out-and-out number 10. They've stacked the midfielders 3 deep. A lot of different looks here.
Gonzalez. Lancaster. That's a strong pause on the ball, unleashing Watts. Lancaster navigates through the pocket. Del Piccolo. Ownby bounces off contact. Ownby slicing across and all the way beyond. Still now Gómez. As far as Gibson. Gómez bouncing. Tulu. Holpino. He's made the space. Holpino denied by Caldwell again. It hasn't been perfect tonight from Jeff Caldwell, but he has kept a few balls out of the net, no question.
He wanted the ball back across the first time to Holpino. Then Jonathan Gómez couldn't find him, and yet it still makes its way all the way back around. Pulled from distance. Bit of theatrics on the backside of things, but better safe than sorry if you're Jeff Caldwell. To your point, Mike, it has been up and down here in the first half. But some of those saves have definitely kept this team in it.
Ball lofted, caught by Caldwell. Caldwell sends this straight up, and Gonzalez knocks it away. The USL returns to ESPN Deportes tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern. The Switchbacks of Colorado Springs welcome Real Monarchs from Salt Lake City for a Four Corners Cup clash at the new Widener Field. Don't miss a second. 9 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN Deportes. Haji Berry, 20 goals in 21 games this year for Colorado Springs. Monarchs, 2019 USL Championship winners. Ownby, dummied all the way through. Danger's not over yet. Del Piccolo's in his most prolific goal-scoring season, sniffing on the doorstep. Colorado Springs has been maybe the most exciting team in the championship this year.
It's nauseating at times.
in the best way.
You need tons of water, electrolytes. That's still the best quote that I've heard, speaking with their head coach, Brendan Burke. You and I were talking about it on USL All Access, Sirius XM, every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, channel 157. Shameless plug, by the way. We joked, just said, Brendan, you know, Mike and I were joking that you guys are going to score 100 goals this season, but you're going to give up 99. Kind of turned, little shrug, and said, if it gets you to the final and wins, who cares? I said, okay, good on you, man. They have an identity.
They do.
I'll give them that. They have an identity.
My understanding is when you drive down Pikes Peak, the goal is to not use the brakes too much. Keep the speed in check. That's not how Colorado Springs has decided to play soccer, that's for sure.
There are no brakes.
Barrera feathers this over the top and launched over the crossbar defensively by Louisville. Someone came out of nowhere. There's no such thing as a vanilla set piece with Hartford Athletic. It's always something a little different.
Hartford will take a Bank of America corner kick.
The Venezuelan Christian Gómez to approach. Obregon opened the door. Sent back out toward Budati. Diving header to steer this further and all the way back to Caldwell. Hartford 1 win in their last 8. Harry Watling said a resounding response to his question, "Are you with me?" He said he put his metaphorical flag in the sand with his boys this week. Unbelievable injuries he referenced. 20 different starting 11s in 20 games, has never put the same one on the field twice. That continues tonight with a couple players away on international duty and a handful of injuries as well.
I was just about to say, not all of that is his fault, of course.
No.
And the fact that you're basically chasing your tail the entire season so far. You know, how do you put together a regular team when you don't have those options at your disposal, right? Whether it's injury or international duty. Louisville City over the past couple of weeks could make the same argument. The difference is for Hartford has literally been the entire season. And yet still, they're right here, Mike. Good start. Things have cooled off. More importantly, you have an opportunity. You've got an opportunity to still get into the playoffs, and not just get into the playoffs, to make some noise. Because as we're talking right now, this team is making an opportunity for themselves at home against a two-time champion. 3 weeks from now, this team could be fighting for fourth, third, second. Odds that they're going to work their way back into first are probably slim to none, given the point differentiation. But the fourth spot is very much within reach, and you never know. With 10, 11, 12 games to go, some of the other teams around you, they could still stumble. We've seen worse. I remember a Charlotte Independence team at the closeout of the 2017 season that was on an 11-game unbeaten streak. Nobody thought they were going to lose a game. They were talking about them getting the #1 seed. What happened? They lost 5 out of 6. Lost the first-round playoff match to Rochester Rhinos. Good on you, Bob Lilly.
All roads lead to Bob
All
Lilly.
roads. They lead in, never out.
Gonzalez and Lancaster for Louisville. Obregon responds for Hartford less than 2 minutes after Louisville had taken a 2-goal lead. As we approach halftime. Just wait until halftime where Devin unveils his proposed playoff bracket and predictions. Ball nearly caught Caldwell out. And with his fingertips, he's just able to lift that away. Holpino, cheeky and ambitious effort.
He's going to tell his kids one day that this was meant to be on frame.
Yep.
100%. I was trying to chip him from 30 yards out, picking out the far post. It's a beautiful little effort all the way to the backside. Jeff Caldwell even caught himself dreaming just a little bit. That's a my bad look, by the way.
It is.
That is a my bad look, and I got lucky.
A set piece, however, to come. Caldwell wants to move quickly and does. This is a Hartford side that began at Rentschler Field, UConn's football stadium, while Dillon Stadium was completed. The renovations in 2019 saw them enter their real home in July. Tabordi Taka leading Budati, crossing Dodson! All square at Dillon Stadium.
Both of the lead-ups to the balls coming square back across for Hartford Athletic. We're about the runs in the box. Not overexerting yourself in one area to give yourself multiple outlets on the other. Near post, far post runs in one-on-one situations so that when this thing is whipped in, you can make a run at it. Great overlapping run. It's that explosion of speed that Jonathan Gómez does not pick up. This just lofted back in. It's the one look up the first time, notices that the run is not coming on the near post, dinks it all the way to the backside, and the spacing is off. Tosh has to be attacking this ball. Derek Dodson does to bring us even just before halftime.
5th of the year for the former Hoya. 8th overall pick by Orlando. Finished out the season at Georgetown, loaned to Hartford. And a game worthy of the stakes and the occasion. Tabor Itaka. Is there a third here? Tabor Itaka. Well, you imagine this is the kind of ambiance would have been here when the Grateful Dead were playing, or the Rolling Stones, or the Hartford Bicentennials. And it's Hartford Athletic that started to capture the hearts of the Connecticut soccer fan. And a spirited 2-goal comeback after trailing by a pair of goals in half an hour's time. And if you listen to Harry Watling, so much of his management style is his language and his words. They're positive. They have effect.
It's contagious. You sit in a room with him, whether it's one question or 30 minutes long, an opportunity to listen to him speak. He inspires you, and they can be coming from behind, they can be out in front. He's always looking for more and for that next step. I take hats off to him right now, because this could be 3-4-0, running away from him at halftime. But that metaphorical line in the sand has been drawn here by Hartford.
Tabor Itaka ahead to Dodson. And Tosh with a vital intervention. And there's the halftime whistle. Louisville meeting at Dillon Stadium in Connecticut. The USL Championship on ESPN. Hartford will get the first touch of this second half. And at 2 goals apiece, we launch into the second 45. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr, and our entire team in Hartford. Hartford in 6th place in the Atlantic Division. A win tonight moves them above Charleston and Charlotte. Meanwhile, for Louisville, top of the Central Division, trying to go 4 points clear of Birmingham Legion. Akil Watts just went down after an aerial challenge where he appeared to be a bit undercut by Gabby Torres. Louisville had to make a change at halftime. We'll note that in a moment. Watts airborne.
Head off the turf. That's what you really got to be careful of here. This was one of the main selection issues coming into the match. Who was going to start at the outside right back spot? Akil Watts bouncing off this pitch, similar to what you saw out of Tabor Itaka in the first half.
Louisville down a couple of outside backs. They've also had to make a change in goal. Chris Hubbard, the Louisville native who started the year as the #1, replaced by Parker Siegfried, has to come on after Siegfried was injured in the first half. Siegfried was able to make it to halftime. So the first Louisville substitution does not use one of the 3 substitution windows. Janjigian. Barrera leading Dodson. In goes Tosh. Referee gestures, shows Tosh what he did wrong, and shows him a yellow card as well. 3rd card handed out all to Louisville players.
Not the first time that Sean Tosh has gotten himself in trouble with this referee. And Mike, it's been real interesting on the defensive front for both of these teams in a lot of one-on-one situations where they have coverage on the other side. You've got support coming in behind you where you don't have to step in. More importantly, overstep what just walked through. Well done by Dodson. He's trying to turn the corner, get that speed to his advantage out in front of him, and run by Sean Tosh. Tosh is having nothing of it. If I'm Hartford Athletic, I'm going after this goalkeeper quick. Chris Hubbard hasn't seen action since July 24th. That late 1-1 draw against Colorado Springs.
Ball floated forward. Hubbard makes the grab. Out of Trinity High School, went on to play 3 years as a starter at Notre Dame. 26 years old now. Was in goal as Louisville made their run to the 2019 USL Championship final. has started 13 games this year, but the last 7 have been started by Parker Siegfried. Mentioned it in the first half, but Simon Lefebvre was sent on loan for the remainder of the season to Colorado Springs. He's eligible to make his debut tomorrow against Real Monarchs on ESPN Deportes. Hubbard away on personal leave the last 2 games, but available tonight. And for Louisville, thankfully so.
I'm looking at the players on the field right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Sean Tosh and Tyler Gibson. Obviously Hubbard, who just came on, but everybody else, they just got thinner because of the loss of the goalkeeper. All of these guys have all been hurt this season. Everyone that's on the field right now. And that's not even mentioning the players that aren't available for selection.
Oscar Jimenez, who's been a Defensive Player of the Year finalist in this league, has missed the vast majority of the year. Wes Sharpie had solidified himself at center back.
Come to think about it, how coming into the year they were so confident about how deep the roster was and how great the preseason was, and then all of a sudden, 2 weeks to kick, everybody goes down.
They have 6 players with over 150 games experience in this league. They felt they had 25 or 26 guys who could start. That hit the post off the set piece. And Lancaster has scored in Olympico this year in Tulsa.
He catches everybody sleeping on this one. How smart. Just a quick little knock, Jeff Caldwell. Not bedtime yet, my friend.
You know, it's funny, you think back to the game in Tulsa. Ask Danny Cruz, the interim manager, after the fact. Cameron Lancaster purposefully put that onto the back post and in. He said it's a bit of a smaller surface, and we thought first corner of the game, if you see the goalkeeper aligned a certain way, go for it. He did, he scored.
And he did.
One of those Louisville-Tulsa barn burners this year.
There are a few people that I would believe that story from. He's one of them.
Yeah.
And the only one. Of course, Danny Cruz had to be telling it.
That's Gómez really struggling to deal with Tabor Itaka, who started on the opposite side tonight and shifted within 5 minutes to Gómez side of the field.
He hasn't been in a lot of situations, Mike, where he's just being outrun. It's more so when he has to make that split-second decision. There's that hips movement again. This is what happened on the goal, where he goes from almost standing flat-footed. Now he's a bit better this time around as he opens up his left hip, but he's got to be quicker, shifting the momentum from right side to left and get up to speed faster.
Barrera floats. There's Hubbard. Is that something that you're discussing in film? Is that something that's natural that you almost have to fight against? That's a rough slide. That's Boudadi going in on Holpino, and Boudadi's been shown a yellow card.
That's situational based upon each player. Now the good news is for someone like Jonathan Gómez, Danny Cruz says that final whistle blows, he's already in his office asking for the tape to see what he can do better. Even if you get into challenges like this for Younes Boudadi, yeah, he picks up a yellow, I understand that, but much better than having the player absolutely turn the corner on you, get to the byline and bring one back across. Jonathan Gómez, that's a quick little shoulder drop, maintain top stature, top heavy, and then go with it.
Header back set right at Caldwell on the service from Jonathan Gómez.
And again, a lot of it, Mike, isn't him trying to get up to speed on the play, because he's already out in front. He's got a 3 or 4 yard cushion at times.
Well, the whistle was really late. It did arrive. Obregon pushed from behind, and the Hartford bench was incensed. Both these teams featuring in 18 divisions. Top 4 in each division goes through. This is one of a handful of games each team will play outside their division. 2021 USL Championship season also welcomes back interconference play for the first time in quite a while. That's why next time you'll see the championship on ESPN2, you'll see Louisville hosting New Mexico first week of October. What's the most intriguing playoff race right now at the playoff line for that fourth spot? Is it the Atlantic? Well, Hartford trying to make this a moot point. Tosh being danced with Dodson, picked up by Hubbard.
I'd make the argument that it's actually the Mountain because of the depth of that division.
And there's only 7 teams in the division, but it feels like 6 of them are squarely in the mix, and none have completely pulled away.
And you've got 6 points between second and sixth. with 10 plus games to go for almost every single team. I looked at it about a month ago, and it's really the first time that for a split second, let's be clear, split second, I started to question as to whether or not Colorado Springs was actually going to get it together. And I looked and I went, there's too much talent, Brendan Burke's in charge, and all of a sudden, everything's right in the world. They're in second place, and I can sleep at night. But everybody else, they can't figure it out.
Gibson. Header up from Gonzalez. Slide in from Hopineau. There goes Hopineau. Hopineau with a blast. It's bobbled. Arriving a second time. Tulu pirouettes around over the ball. He's gone down injured. Caldwell another save.
The save looks a lot easier than it is, and it's not, though. Watch this thing dip at the tail end of it. Hopineau lines it up, and it's got some heavy English on the ball. Gets it back on that right foot right there. Dipping and back across. Jeff Caldwell just squares his shoulders up, pushes it aside like it's Sunday dinner. Well done by the goalkeeper.
Corner, Louisville. The back post, header down the cross and in. Brian Ownby. Louisville retakes the lead after squandering a 2-goal first half advantage.
The career year continues. Once again, sleeping on these set pieces. Hartford Athletic in the second half. Cameron Lancaster caught him almost on the near post. And Akil Watts, look at the run all the way to the backside. It's not unimpeded, but if you're Justin Hack, you have to do a better job on the initial rotation, get in the way of the rotate on the backside, and then coming all the way back through. Just leaves it all to be for Budati. Brian Ownby makes a meal of it on the back post.
And meanwhile, back at the watch party in Louisville. All the while, Hartford's giving chase. Dodson is still appealing for a foul. That's Akil Watts' first goal contribution of the season. Ownby's 4th goal. He has 8 assists now, and he launches this back. Hit by Del Piccolo, and it's deflected by Janjigian off the post. And cleared away by Hack.
This is where you miss Corbin Bone, respectfully. Corbin Bone sticks this thing in the bottom corner and calls it a day. Del Piccolo gets caught up. Weak foot, just throws a peg at it. Gets lucky that he grabs the deflection of Janjigian.
Well, they say the 2-goal lead, ... but getting a second 2-goal lead, well, I'm not sure Louisville's ever lost that advantage twice. The side trying to avoid defeat for the 3rd consecutive game. It'll be the first time since 2015 that's occurred. A side that's made the conference final all 6 years of their existence. Gómez. Louisville's flying now. Gonzalez from Hopineau. Budati. The clearance, and Louisville will reload. continuing, but Sawahi carries through. Hopino. He's shown to be tricky. He's after it again. Hopino got the shot away! One of the best goals of his career! An artist over the ball, and he finishes brilliantly. 4-2 Louisville.
Curtain call here for Antoine Hopino on the individual effort. Shades of Tabor Itaka in the first half and the comeback for Hartford Athletic. But Antoine Hopino shakes on one side and then the absolute rattle and roll into the upper corner. Goalkeeper screened on the cutback across. Budati got himself in trouble against Ownby. Writes the same remark here against Antoine Hopino, who has all the time in the world to stick this thing in the back of the net.
One of the goals of his life. Second of the year for a guy who's always dangerous, but just doesn't seem this year get on the score sheet nearly enough. Hack launching. Took 2 minutes after Louisville took a 2-goal advantage in the first half for Hartford to respond. Tabor Itaka again, and this time Gómez shows he's learned a valuable lesson or two. And you get the feeling Louisville's prepared to slam down the accelerator. Well, that may be another SportsCenter top 10 play from the championship. Gómez, nearly for Lancaster. In his previous stint in Louisville before going away to Nashville, set the league's single-season goal-scoring record.
Jeff Caldwell furious with Budati not stepping up into this. I can't blame him. Should have attacked on the back post ball to Brian Ownby. Should have attacked on the Hopino, and yet again allowing Jonathan Gómez to whip this thing into the box. Just way too much space right now for Louisville to have fun with.
Dicing forward Budati. Gómez. There's Hack. Hack went down. Referee gestures and return to his feet. Lancaster. Suddenly the numbers are to Louisville's liking. Back by Janjigian. To be fair, Devin, I think the goal of the year happened over the weekend. It's tough for anybody to top what Raul Gonzalez did for Memphis. May have saved their season, in truth.
May.
They have a ways to go. 95th minute bicycle kick. #1 play on SportsCenter Top 10 on Sunday morning. And put really simply, there were a lot of options for Sunday morning's top 10 plays.
Finally getting the health back. Seems to have the flair for the dramatic, doesn't he?
He's just been snake bit by injuries the last few years. Hartford is preparing a couple of substitutions. Don't have to chase the game now. Watts. The assist on Ownby's goal on the set piece that separated the sides again in the 57th. The 59th, Antoine Hopino, an individual slaloming display. A curled finish beyond Jeff Caldwell, who's been so good tonight, so good all year for the most part. Couple of changes now.
Substitution.
Nico Cardona, the Puerto Rican full international. 9th appearance off the bench this year. Ni Arma Ashiti, the Ghanaian, set to come on as well. This is his 9th appearance off the bench. End of the night for Gómez. And Devin, let's be really frank. Louisville has not been very good on the road this year. There have been some performances where they've looked good the majority of the game and still didn't come away with all the points. They're starting a 5-game road swing right now that'll see them go through Oklahoma City, Indianapolis for the vaunted, so this bounces up to Hubbard, Louisville-Indianapolis Proximity Association football contest. And then they'll do one extended trip through Memphis and Atlanta before returning home in October. Gómez. Jonathan Gómez lines this off Tulu. Holpino. Holpino's feeling himself tonight. Holpino into the penalty area. That's handled by Caldwell. Holpino with confidence is a different Antoine Holpino.
The balls are bouncing his way too, even on these little slight deflections. He'll take it, he doesn't care. I'm concerned though right now if I'm Harry Watling and the amount of space that they're willing to just concede over here, because again, whether it's the goal or just the build-up now, little touch in, no one willing to step over. Now it's the slide out of the pocket for one of the midfielders. If you're Justin Hack or Danny Barrera, who was on this near touchline just then, they've got to come over and help. Or even on the back line, Tula was imploring Nico Cardona to step up into it. Instead, there's a cutback inside, gets beat again. This is one of those things that we talked about, though, for Louisville coming in. It was about the mistakes they had made to themselves. I'm not taking anything away from Louisville's performance, but Hartford, a lot of this right now is self-inflicted. Louisville's playing much better here in the second half, but a lot of it is just simple decision-making.
Cardona, can he muscle his way around Gómez? He did, but illicitly. And for Hartford at this point, this difficult stretch may well extend to a 9th game in which they've only grabbed 4 points. The next game is away to Charlotte on Saturday. Let's say a rejuvenated Charlotte Independence.
Ish. Depends on what age bracket you're looking at.
They did pick up a notable ESPN analyst to play.
Picked up more than that.
Okay.
The results haven't exactly shared the same sentiment, to be fair.
Christian Fuchs on loan from Charlotte FC. We've added Sylvain Marveaux, who's been masterful, truly magnificent.
Obertan as well.
You're talking about 3 guys with at least 10 years experience playing in the first division in either France or England.
It's the world that's often thrown around inappropriately. World class. Pretty sure they can fit into that bill.
Holpino muscling through Tulu. And if Holpino sees a card here,
he'll talk himself into it if he's not careful.
That's it. At this point, it appears Paulo Del Piccolo is saying, just stand there. Just hear it. Louisville captain.
Watch the space again. Before the substitution with Budati coming out, Cardona coming in, Opino. I said decision-making in the final third was something that got both of these teams in trouble in the first half. Well, how about defensively here in the second? A little bit too early for Ice and Hartford. Skating all over the place, though. Home team appreciative of their efforts. think I've ever had this. Is it a pizza for me?
Are we really going to have a pizza debate?
I'm bringing you into it right now. Tell the Hartford fans what you think, that white clam pizza is not real?
No, I know it's real. It's just not a reality I'm going to experience.
Amazing. Really amazing.
They have a sign in front of the supporters in relation to their vaunted pizza in Connecticut. But as someone who's lived in New York City now for a decade, I'm not sure I can entirely get behind it.
Still a great story with Harry Watling. They brought it to him before one of the preseason matches, they said, right?
They did.
About 20 minutes to kick. Pizza had been on ice, if you will, for the previous 2 hours. The front office staff going, I'm not exactly sure feeding our new coach clams that have been sitting there for 2 hours is the best option right now.
Danny Cruz did tell us that he did plan to eat this clam pizza monstrosity.
He'll try anything once.
That's what he said.
Give
yes.
him that. Try anything. Do you like sushi?
Yes.
You had to try that once. This is at least cooked with cheese and bread.
Well, I like most of the things involved. Devin does one Ivy League game in Connecticut, comes back preaching about this pizza.
Well, it wasn't the one Ivy League game. It was one game in Connecticut. There's a difference. Gotten a couple of those, but the one game in Connecticut is fantastic. I've been chasing the dream ever since.
Tabor Itaka, this is a free kick. It is marginally outside the penalty area. It's Gonzalez going in. And you have to think Gonzalez was aware of his position on the field here, or he doesn't go for this.
But again, another one where you didn't have to take him down. Shantosh looks like the proximity here is close enough where you don't have to clip him. Tyler Gibson, great little track back to the inside, and you've got the coverage. There's no need whatsoever to take him to ground. Push him to the end line. Lock him up in the corner at a 2v1 defensively. Instead, you have given away a crucial opportunity for this team to get back into it.
Barrera lifting, header from Janjigian. Out of play. Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source of soccer radio. Ray Hudson, Tony Miola, Rodney Marsh, Brian Dunseth, and USL All Access every Tuesday night, 7 Eastern. And also hear live action from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more, all on Sirius XM FC 157 and the Sirius XM app. This is Ownby. We spoke this week about the burgeoning rivalries, particularly the Louisville-Tulsa match over the weekend, in which a water bottle was summarily destroyed ahead of the post-game coaches interaction. That was a really impressive performance from Tulsa. Flag is up here. It was never going to count. That is a vicious effort off the crossbar from Lancaster. Couple changes to come here. Niall McCabe and Napo Masoso. That's Gibson and Gonzalez set to come off. Devin Gonzalez had a lot of eyes on him in particular coming into this game because in Danny Cruz's estimation and by Gonzalez's admission, the last 2 games he hadn't really played all that well, but he got a big goal tonight.
No, more importantly, who's going to stretch from the midfield onto that front line, because we've seen Gonzalez up top next to Cameron Lancaster, but underneath, you reference what the best 11 looks like for either one of these teams. Still think Louisville haven't found that in the midfield, but with performances like that from Gonzalez, he can easily cement himself into the 11 on the inside, and a great pairing underneath Cameron Lancaster. I think he also did a great job in Tyler Gibson on the inside, really closing down the midfield for Hartford Athletic, eliminating a lot of the deep lying balls for Danny Barrera. Tyler Gibson, he's not as active on the ball as we saw him in Indy 11 with those 30, 40-yard balls spraying side to side, but defensively tonight covered a lot of ground.
Meanwhile, Niall McCabe has come in to cover that ground in midfield. Across 10,000 minutes played in the championship, all for Louisville City. Obregon. Into a wide area. This is Gómez. Javi Torres launches this into orbit. Couple of changes coming for Hartford. They came back from 2 goals down in the first half. It's both goal scorers set to check out now. Obregon in the 31st, then Dodson in the 44th.
Quality finishes by both, and unfortunately for Hartford Athletic and Harry Watling, just sort of disappearing as this game has gone on. Great speed, beautiful explosions into the final third to get their team back into it. Need fresh legs now, though. With 15 to go, the way that they're playing, got to push the tempo a little bit here, find a way to continue to stretch it. But with that addition right there in Connor McGlynn, you are looking to get on the ball a bit more. See if you can remove some of the options from Louisville City. Start to win more of this possession battle and get yourself back into this match.
Darwin Lam in as well, coming off groin injury. Did play in Gold Cup qualifiers for Guatemala, scored against Guyana. 24-year-old has bagged a half dozen goals now for Guatemala. You could say Hartford and Miami both in the Atlantic Division really been nicked up by international duty this year. Gold Cup and just your plain ordinary international windows. Sebastian Elney is away. Walmer Martinez is away this week. Only new to the equation for the Haitian national team.
You and I were talking about it on USL All Access, how it's such a magnificent honor to represent your country. And you work so hard within your domestic league to give yourself that chance, and how Hartford and Miami, they may not have the opportunity to have a full team selection all season long because of it. There's a very good chance that neither manager will get to select from their deep squads.
Header falls inside the 6, and Hack will carry out. He's going to do a lot more than that. Launches this forward. Tabor Itaka. This is the matchup all night long. Tabor Itaka eventually unloads. Lancaster taken off the ball by Tabor Itaka, and the free kick. Look, there's a fair number of players around the U.S. national team's current World Cup qualifying roster who've come through League Two, League One, the championship at some point in their careers. It's not just the young guys. It's easy to point at Adams and Aronson and say, look at what they did with Red Bulls 2, with Union 2, then Bethlehem Steel. Barrera. Barrera is fouled. That's Masoso's first incursion in this match. Well, you'd say this is a vital set piece for Hartford.
Tweaking their shape a little bit too, pulling Justin Hack deeper, allowing Javi Torres and Nico Cardona play a much higher line, try and pin back LouCity. The addition of Connor McGlynn, as we mentioned, paired alongside someone like Danny Barrera, got to give them more opportunities moving forward, and everything has been from such a deep lying role. He's so good at getting balls to check up from 50, 60 yards away, but time to move him closer now. Give themselves a better chance at succeeding down the stretch against a team who, over this run, Mike, even prior to the back-to-back losses, that 8 games unbeaten, the Achilles heel, conceding. 5 minutes to go. This team, doesn't matter if they were up by 2, up by 1, leading goals left and right.
What does Barrera have in mind here, however? Former captain in Sacramento, year in Fresno playing for Adam Smith. A really good year at that. Well, he's laid this up, and McGlynn, we've seen that story before. McGlynn had certainly one of the goals of the year this season as well.
Definitely hit it from distance. Red Bull 2 match and the drubbing that was earlier on this year.
Well, and the BBC tweeted it out, and Harry Watling said his phone was blowing up from friends overseas.
It's kind of funny how they went from going back a couple of years, now the transition to Connor McGlynn. They have Mads Jorgensen as well. Good strikes from distance, and your goal scorer, Cameron Lancaster. Started all the way back when. 7th minute, Brian Ownby cut back across. Near post, little run. Little wink, blink, and a nod. Cameron Lancaster grabs another goal. Moving up the all-time championship goal-scoring list. And Kyle Gregg, there you go.
What are the odds that 125 goals is the most involved in a USL championship substitution before? Because Gregg's on 62, Lancaster's on 63. Anyone who's subbed on for Dane Kelly is in that neck of the woods.
He's currently sitting on 95. Well, at some point in time, Jorge Herrera had to be in that mix too.
You would think. Oh, and they were former teammates. All rolled ahead. There's Hubbard, who came on at halftime for an injured Parker Siegfried. Louisville has been really efficient on the offensive end in total. The only reason it's not more than 4, Jeff Caldwell has come up with some top shelf saves. Also had an error or 2 along the way as well. Tibor Itaka blasting into Tosh. Testing the veracity of that cast. Holpino. The United Soccer League, all 31 championship clubs and its players stand together in support of diversity, inclusivity, equality, and compassion. For more information on the USL's commitment to change through the United Against Racism campaign, visit USLsoccer.com. 83rd minute, ball knotted away. Louisville this year has been highlighting a minority-owned business of the month through their broadcasts and in the stadium, in Lynn Family Stadium in Kentucky. The Black Players Alliance, certainly
good turn. Beautiful turn.
Grabbed a roll here. This is Tibor Itaka. Lam. Good from Ownby, who was in an unfamiliar defending position.
Defensively, Gabby Torres has had to cover so much ground, as have a lot of the guys on the inside. Watch out.
Bodies flying everywhere. And this is going to be Louisville's free kick. Spare a penny for Gabriel Torres' thoughts.
They're both pulling each other's jerseys here. What you have to imagine is on this little spin, as he starts to drift towards the far sideline, watch his arm up against the jersey. Right there. That's where you get yourself into trouble. It's a foul by both of them, to be fair. The problem is the initial contact on the right arm for Gabby Torres is right in front of the referee. I feel Harry Watling's pain, though, because real time, I thought this was a foul against Brian Ownby. If you don't have the luxury of that angle, it's much more difficult, Mike, to figure out what's going on there. But just going back for a sec. That sequence, nice little build. Tebow Itaka once again, gonna be the best player on the field for Hartford Athletic tonight, the way that he's put on this kind of performance. But as he goes, when you cut back inside to Darwin Lom, that's it. It's 1 and 2, and then a sea of white jerseys. Whether it's Torres on the left, the guys coming up through the middle, they've got to make a more advanced effort coming forward if they want to have any sort of chance with 5 minutes to go, because it just hasn't been good enough. Tired or not, the changes have been made. And Antoine Opino finally gets his yellow. He's been searching for it all game. Hasn't he?
Yeah. Opino's 5th card of the season. Born in France, raised in Princeton, New Jersey. Played for Princeton 4 years and a winding professional career through Philadelphia, Harrisburg, Cincinnati, Reno, Tampa Bay, now Louisville. 5 minutes to go here. 3 points for Louisville puts them right in the mix for the best record in the USL Championship. Put them 4 points clear in the Central Division. For Hartford, trying to get out of 6th place here. Appears this is the end of the line for Del Piccolo. He'll slide the armband over to McCabe. And this is Josh Winder, who's set to come in. He joined the Louisville City Academy at its inception, signed an academy deal in February 2021. And really good news, the 23-man rosters are who are available for any given game for selection. They're submitted 2 days before the match. His older brother, Elijah, was in the 23-man roster this week. He suffered a devastating injury in preseason. So happy to see Elijah back in the mix, but Josh Winder will see time for the 7th time this year.
Just keep an eye on this change. We've seen it a lot for Louisville City, where Denny Cruz will bring on the extra defenders. A lot of times you'll see Lexi Sawahi find himself in sort of that floating center back role in front of the other two. It would be Sean Tosh and Josh Winder. That's where they have gotten themselves into trouble and conceded down the stretch.
And Dev, let's say this. We've spoken with coaches over the course of the year. Josh Winder is 16 years old. The only player younger than him to sign at Louisville City was his brother, and the difference in age was a week. So you need to find the right time, right place to bring in a 16-year-old to best develop him in this game.
Well, I'll take the development next to Sean Tosh any day of the week.
Well, and you're 2 goals up on the road. There's
a
little margin for error, but by the same token, you
gotta
really
start somewhere.
Yeah, you can't seed anything at this point.
Everything's not going to be a 2 or 3-0 win when you're at home, right, at Lynn Family Stadium.
Winder takes the circuitous route to this ball. Greg. Look, Danny Cruz said he's been fantastic in training. If he wasn't playing well in training, he wouldn't be playing in games, period.
I had a problem like that for a little while, though. I had a manager come to me and pull me aside after a couple of my performances that didn't work out in a scenario like Josh Winder, where I was getting 15, 20, 25 minutes at the end of the game, beginning my professional career. Manager pulled me aside and said, "You're one of the best players on the team in training, and you can't do," there were a couple expletives in there, right, come game time. What was it? It was a confidence thing. I was nervous. And you have to find a way to break through that barrier. That comes from the confidence from a manager, though, Mike. I mean, still, he's had a couple looks in games where you just kind of tilt your head and go, I don't really know if I see it for Josh Winder. On the other side of that is he's had some brilliant performances. Full 90 minutes where you watch him and you say, this kid can play. But now can you put it all together? Can you do it on the road in not necessarily a must-win game? It's a must-win if you want to stay within reach of that #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. But you don't want to give up 3 losses in a row. You don't want to draw again. You're trying to look to get back on track in any way possible. I'll give him credit in that aspect.
Ball whipped across for Barrera. McGlynn continued to follow. All of a sudden, you have an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old playing side by side on this near side of the field. And Jonathan Gómez, who's already linked to such a major move overseas by the Athletic, and Winder, who's come through the Louisville Academy in its infancy. Ball ripped across all the way through from Cardona.
There is a saving grace here for Hartford Athletic. Charleston Battery, as we are speaking, in the 91st minute in their game, losing 1-0 to the Tampa Bay Rowdies. So one of those teams that were around you doesn't gain any points. Charlotte Independence tomorrow travel to Loudoun and then have Hartford on the weekend. If Charlotte Independence go to Loudoun and don't get a result, nothing's changed. You're still right there if you're Hartford Athletic. So it's not the worst thing. There was talks coming out of the Red Bull 2 game that Harry Watling went in, because you can't do everything, right? As a manager, you can set them up for success, but they still have to go perform. And in a lot of areas, it just didn't happen tonight. But he finished, had a nice little talk with his team. He left, and there was a team meeting. You get into team meetings when it's players only, that's starting to get to do or die scenarios where it's time to step up, boys. Who wants to go and get back on track here? Who wants to make a run at this thing? And I'm not talking about winning it all. I'm talking about finding that beautiful form that was 6-2-2 at the beginning of the season. Because this team has a lot of talent. It's just not going their way right now. Someone in the dressing room, you look at Danny Barrera, right? You look at a leader like Jeff Caldwell, who's, you have to imagine, it's not just by performance. As vocal as he is on the field, he's got to be a dressing room guy as well. Someone's got to step up and help get this team going in the right direction.
It's a side that beat Red Bull 2 7-0 earlier this year and then lost 2-0 away to Red Bull 2 on the weekend. Shows just the depth of difference between a few of their performances over the course of it. They feel like they haven't necessarily been outplayed all that many times. But it's now going to stretch, it appears, to 1 win, 7 losses, and a draw in their last 9. And to your point, they appear to have been granted lifeline after lifeline here to stay in the mix. And in doing so, one would imagine they can string a win or two together here over the next few. They go away to Charlotte next on the weekend, which is not a simple deal.
No, but you go get a result there, Mike, and then all of a sudden you're back home against a Real Monarchs team who only has 5 wins in its entirety of the 2021 campaign, and then you go to Loudoun. 2 out of 3 of those, you would think you should be able to get a result.
If you
would
get
think
6, 7, 9 points somewhere in there in that span, you'll feel a lot better about yourselves. And Tampa Bay with their apparent 1-0 win, Lewis Hilton scoring in that one, keeping Charleston at bay. Meanwhile, for Danny Cruz's side, they avoid that 3rd consecutive defeat. It's been since 2015 that Louisville had failed to take any points from 3 consecutive league games. And to do it to begin this 5-game road swing has to be a real confidence booster for a side that was intent on not letting their recent form dictate upcoming performance.